Yo, we're back. Hello, hello. Hi. Happy Monday. Let's see who's here. We're back with more Jeffrey Epstein. We're going to finish this document today. I'm determined. I am determined. I saw a lot of Corey Richins going on, and I do plan to cover that, I think, tonight. I was debating, but it looks really good. So I might have to cover it. Are you guys down for trial watch tonight? Hello, hello. I saw Abuelita's Abby Debbie. Pizza. Hey, Pizza. Tippy. Hello, Ramon. Hello, Old Days. Hello, Rebecca. Good to see you. Living it up in cold, snowy Ohio. Yeah, I know. Everybody's got a lot of snow, and I hear it's crazy. I don't. So it's really cold here, but no snow, no rain. The sun is out, but it is pretty chilly. I won't lie. Let me see. What is the weather? What is the temp out here? It says 66, but it definitely feels a lot colder than that. Hey, Inked. Okay, let's get started. We don't have that much longer. It does seem like we do. It's 46 pages. We're on page 46, but the last like 20 are redacted. So we really don't have too much. We are reading the Co-Conspirator document, 86-page document, and the Jeffrey Epstein files. This has now been removed from the DOJ website, so they didn't keep it up there. But I do have it, and we have read, this is part 2. So if you want to catch up on the first part, I definitely recommend it. It's a good document. There's a Jeffrey Epstein playlist. Let me know again if you guys are down to watch Corey Richins replay. I know it's everywhere on right now, but that bugs me sometimes when that's all that's going on during the day and no one else is covering anything. So I figured, other than Nancy. I haven't done an update on Nancy because there's like no update. So Nancy's still missing. I think it's day 23 now. Oh, wow. Yeah, going to a month. Thank you, Inked Bunny. I appreciate you. I don't know. Very nice of you. Thank you. I don't know where Nancy is, and I don't know what's going to happen with this case. So maybe we'll do a Nancy recap today. We'll see. We do have Courtney Clenny scheduled right after this. I haven't decided if I want to jump into trial watch or do another live. So I'll decide and I'll schedule it. But we are going to watch the Courtney Clenny hearing after this because we are going to trial watch that when it goes to trial in April. So let's get started on this document. We left off on, oh, let me share. Oopsie. I like this side better. We left off on we were reading the part, I didn't figure out who the girlfriend was. I tried to look it up and I couldn't figure it out. So we left off on the part where one of the girlfriends got wired $100,000 after she was mentioned in the Miami Herald. Epstein sent her this money because he felt guilty for the troubles that the articles caused her. And please hit the like button. Sorry, I didn't even give an intro really. I do get demonetized on these because YouTube doesn't want you to cover Jeffrey Epstein. So please hit the like button. It does really help. I'm really into the Epstein files, so I'm going to continue to cover them, whether YouTube likes it or not, I guess, until I can't anymore. Let's continue. I better catch up on Courtney case. Yeah, there's a playlist, Rebecca. I have all the body cam and I've kept up with all the documents because there's been like a lot of drama in that case behind the scenes. So I do have a playlist and we are pretty caught up on it. Okay, let's continue. Second, on October 15th, 2019, we met with Redacted for another proffer during which she reviewed in more detail certain aspects of her experiences with Epstein. Redacted recalled that before the first investigation into Epstein, he had a number of nude photos of women in the residences. But at some point after the investigation, there were far fewer of those photographs in Florida and the Paris residences. Once Epstein was in jail, Redacted would visit him frequently. This is who I was trying to find out who it was. We were thinking it was Sholiak, but Hmm. When he was in jail, Epstein would have his lawyer, Darren Indyke, had a paralegal bring him a computer, which he used to have video SEX with redacted. He would have his lawyer bring him a computer so he could have. That's ridiculous. While Epstein was on work release, a number of women visited him at his office and would watch movies with him on a couch. At some point, when Epstein was on work release, Redacted was put on the approved driver list and would drive him back to jail at night in the Suburban with a mattress in the back. Most nights, she and Epstein would park near the jail and have SCX in the back of the car. Epstein seemed friendly with the guards at the jail, but she does not know why he was permitted these freedoms. That is wild. What a pig. He had a mattress in the back. Wow. Shortly after Redacted met Epstein, he pushed her to have a threesome with another female. Redacted ultimately agreed, and Epstein subsequently brought Redacted into the massage room with other young women to engage in these acts. The first time this took place was in Epstein's Palm Beach residence with Redacted, who was a minor at the time. During the massage, Epstein directed Redacted to massage him and then engage in, contact with him, with each other, and then with him. Redacted had a few such experiences with Redacted. At the end of each encounter, Epstein would send Redacted out of the massage room. Redacted recalled that Redacted or another member of the household staff would sometimes set up the massage room. She does not recall seeing Redacted receive money. Epstein did not pay Redacted for engaging in these acts, but he would give Redacted $100 bills as pocket money when they went on new trips together. Although Redacted knew Redacted was a senior in high school, she believed Redacted was at least 18 because of an instance when Epstein sent the two of them to an adult store where they were carded before entering. Redacted produced an ID and was permitted to enter the store, so Redacted assumed that Redacted was at least 18 years old. Redacted also recalls Redacted bringing a friend to massage Epstein and talking about wanting to go to college. Redacted explained that in Redacted, most high school seniors are 18 or 19, but she knows that Redacted was 17 at the time. Of course, there is a lot of information redacted here. In additional to Redacted, she recalled having encounters at Epstein's direction with a young woman named Redacted and a young woman named Redacted in the Palm Beach residence. Each took place in the massage room. Both Redacted and the other girl would massage Epstein. Then Epstein would direct the girls to engage in activity with each other and with him. Each encounter ended with Epstein at which point he would direct Redacted to leave the room while the other girl stayed in the room and got dressed. More generally, Redacted understood that Epstein received 1 to 2 massages per day from women in Palm Beach. All of the young women appeared to be Redacted's age, and she did not know for sure how old they were. In addition to the 3 girls with whom he had contact, Redacted recalled a masseuse named Redacted and Redacted. One of Epstein's assistants, either Redacted or Redacted, would walk the girls up to the massage room prior to each massage. Redacted also recalled that some of these girls would bring friends and wait in the kitchen while the friends gave Epstein a massage. Redacted heard the assistants scheduling massage appointments, but Redacted was not generally involved in scheduling. She believes she may have reached out to Redacted at some point to schedule a massage, though she is not certain. Redacted may have occasionally answered the phone in Epstein's Palm Beach residence and taken messages, but that was not her primary responsibility, so she did not do that frequently. Redacted knew that some masseuses who were older than the other ones who had massaged Epstein provided traditional non-SEX massages to herself, Maxwell, and Redacted. Redacted was not initially sure what was going on in the massage room with Epstein, although she learned from her own experience that he engaged in activity during massages. She was unsure whether every massage appointment involved that activity or just some. Before he went to jail, the frequency of his massages slowed and eventually stopped entirely. Hey, Joker. Hi, Evie. He's so sick. Um, When Redacted was in New York, she did not stay in Epstein's New York residence, so she was not familiar with his massage routine there as she was with his routine in Palm Beach. She did recall, however, multiple occasions when Epstein brought her into the massage room in his New York residence for encounters with him and other women. Redacted also recalled some such experiences at Epstein's Virgin Islands residence, including at least one encounter with Redacted. Redacted and a woman named Redacted did not recall encounters with other women in New Mexico, but she recalls some encounters with Epstein and an older woman at Epstein's Paris residence. I bet you that's Ghislaine. Third, on October 25th, 2019, we conducted our final proffer with Redacted, during which she provided additional details regarding her time with Epstein. When asked about the massage routine at his New York residence, Redacted recalled that he would usually have a morning and afternoon massage, both of which were ordinarily scheduled by Leslie Groff. The woman coming over to give these massages appeared similar in age and general appearance to the young woman who came for massages in Florida. Again, Redacted did not know the ages of these women, though she believed they were around her age. Epstein stopped getting regular massages after he completed his jail sentence. Redacted did not recall people coming for regular massages in the New Mexico residence, but there was a massage room at that residence. In the Virgin Islands, one or two women came to give massages, but Redacted believes they were licensed masseuses. They would go into the massage room with him. As to the young women who gave massages in Florida and New York, Redacted does not expressly recall seeing anyone pay those girls, but she acknowledged that it was reasonable to think that they were getting paid. Looking back, Redacted realizes that Epstein probably had her leave the room after each encounter with another girl so that he could pay the girl. Redacted recalled that Epstein made her believe that Redacted were attracted to her and wanted to engage in sex with her. In retrospect, she realizes that was not true and she is embarrassed that she believed him. Redacted was also aware that Epstein's assistant gave Epstein massages, and she believed Redacted were involved with Epstein at some point. Epstein would refer to a group of assistants and girlfriends who traveled regularly with him as family. Redacted's impression was that the only person Epstein saw as his equal was Maxwell. Epstein and Maxwell talked openly about sex. Redacted recalled one instance when Maxwell was with a group of girls at Epstein's Virgin Islands property and discussed oral and erotic books to read. We did see some of those books in the pictures that were found at the house. Hey, Vanjie. I'm glad you made it back home. Good to see you. Redacted and Redacted were all dependent on Epstein, which was in contrast to Maxwell, who was much older than those three. Redacted remarked that the longer a woman was around Epstein, the harder it was to get out, and she has no idea how Redacted managed to leave. She remembered that Redacted only got out by getting married, and Redacted got out by becoming Redacted, by becoming pregnant, maybe? Redacted also reviewed the details of her interactions with Brunel. She recalled that Brunel would encourage her to be good to Epstein and massage his feet for him. Redacted believed that Brunel and Epstein had a close relationship, but she heard them talk about women and sex in front of her. In and around early Redacted, Brunel brought a young girl who was about 15 years old to Epstein's island. Redacted assumed as much because Epstein commented that the girl was 10 years younger than Redacted, but Redacted does not know her exact age, nor does she know whether anyone engaged in contact with the girl, and does not recall the girl's name. During her years with Epstein, Redacted's visa was sponsored by Brunel's modeling agency, and even though she was not working. Epstein told Redacted that he paid Brunel $1 million to keep her in the country. As a result, Redacted felt that Epstein could have deported her with a single phone call to Brunel. In 2011, Epstein and Brunel refused to help renew Redacted's visa, but she was able to obtain one through her work as Redacted. Wow, he paid Brunel $1 million to keep her in the country. I kind of do actually believe that. Ew. Brunel is disgusting. He's the one that he's a modeling agent, quote unquote. Redacted explained that for years, she and Redacted both thought that Epstein was the victim of a witch hunt targeting a wealthy man. She now realizes that Epstein was abusive and she's embarrassed that she believed his manipulative narrative for so long. More recently, Redacted told Redacted about some of the physical abuse behavior Epstein engaged in towards her, and Redacted expressed surprise, saying she did not have similar experiences. And then two whole sentences are redacted. Number three, Redacted's attorneys provided attorney proffers to us on July 31st, 2019, September 6th, and October 18. These proffers were covered These proffers covered Redacted's personal background, introduction to Epstein, essays she had experienced at Epstein's hands, and job responsibilities for Epstein. Her attorney said that scheduling massages was just only small part of the job. They also asserted that Redacted did not know that the massages involved this type of contact or that any masseuses were minors. Following these meetings, Redacted proffered with us pursuant to a proffer agreement on two occasions. The information she provided in those proffers closely tracked the information provided by her attorneys in their proffers, and accordingly, we do not separately summarize the attorney proffers below. We agreed with her attorneys, however, that for purposes of these two proffers, we would not discuss Redacted's obstructive conduct during the first investigation. And then it says on November 26, 2019, we interviewed Redacted in New York. And then it's like a whole paragraph is redacted. The beginning of the next paragraph is redacted. All we can see it says Redacted then moved to Redacted to live with her husband and his family. While there, Redacted worked at Redacted and attempted to find some modeling jobs. So whoever this was, she was a model and she was married. And she was working with Epstein, so she probably continued to work with him because he threatened her, to send her out of the country or back to wherever she lived. Hi, Tinks, good to see you. And to think that these kids are all famous singers, actors, especially ones that we grew up watching. Yeah, really. Um, as a result, Redacted was extremely isolated and alone. Redacted, there's a whole sentence that's redacted, and then it says to support herself. After a year, about a year in or After about a year in and around Redacted, a coworker mentioned a wealthy couple who was looking for a personal assistant and invited Redacted to meet them in Redacted. She agreed and flew to Redacted, where she met Epstein, Maxwell, and Redacted. From there, Redacted flew with that same group to New York. During this trip, Redacted tried to sell herself as an ideal personal assistant for Epstein and Maxwell. She flew back Redacted. Wait, so she went back to modeling, something happened, she felt extremely isolated and alone, and so she ends up working for Epstein. I know. I know, they redact, like, everything. Let me take a drink. Okay, so Redacted was back in Redacted for about a month before Maxwell called her and asked her to fly out to Palm Beach. Redacted agreed and was on a plane the next day. She then spent a few days at Epstein's Palm Beach residence, during which she was formally hired as Maxwell's personal assistant. She then continued traveling with Epstein and Maxwell and never returned Redacted. Shortly after Redacted was hired, Epstein instructed her to take a bath with him, during which he told her, quote unquote, you got the job, now you just have to keep it. Epstein then engaged in, contact with her, and she understood that her job was dependent on her willingness to submit to Epstein's demands. Ew. Her responsibilities included coordinating travel for Epstein and his entourage, managing his houses, completing shopping, organizing schedules and binders for each house, digitizing photographs, and running errands. For her first few years of employment, years, she reported directly to Maxwell, and she worked out of Maxwell's house when they were in New York. When in New York, she would occasionally stay at Epstein's New York residence, but she primarily resided in an apartment in Epstein's building on 66th Street. When Epstein got out of jail, she no longer reported to Maxwell and instead worked out of Epstein's residence when they were in New York. During the time she worked for Epstein, she traveled with him wherever he went. Each morning, either Epstein or Maxwell would give Redacted a list of tasks to complete for the day. When Epstein was in Palm Beach, she would be responsible for scheduling his daily massages. Typically in Palm Beach, Epstein would receive a morning massage and an afternoon massage. Maxwell and Redacted taught her how to schedule massages using a directory that was kept in Maxwell's office. Maxwell or Epstein would tell Redacted who from the directory to call for a particular massage. Typically, Redacted would call to schedule massages a day ahead of time. She believed that the people she was calling were experienced masseuses. If one masseuse could not make an appointment, she would either tell Maxwell or Epstein, or she would ask the masseuse whether they could refer anyone else. Eventually, she was shown how to edit the directory on a computer. She would also update the directory with new information for the new masseuses when told to do so. They straight up had a computer system for this. Let's read the footnote 47. It says, this appears to be the directory that Redacted was instructed to remove from Epstein's Palm Beach and Virgin Island residences. As discussed above, Redacted was also instructed to remove the computers from Epstein's Palm Beach residence, which appears to have included the computer on which she redacted the directory. As a result, law enforcement has not recovered a copy of this. Of course. Redacted recalled that some of the masseuses were regulars while others came less frequently. Maxwell and other guests would sometimes get massages as well, and those massages were provided by people on the same directory list as the people who massaged Epstein. When asked what types of reason these people gave when they could not make appointments, she said she recalled some saying that they had to work and one referencing soccer practice. Yeah, same. Yuck. I know. So yuck. When a masseuse arrived at the Palm Beach residence, generally someone would meet her in the kitchen. Redacted would then take her up to the massage room. If this was a masseuse's first time, Redacted would show her the table, lotions, and the towels. She would then leave and tell Epstein that his massage was ready. Redacted would typically then go run errands while Epstein received his massage, and she was sometimes present when a massage finished. Sometimes multiple girls would give him a massage at the same time, but she did not recall anyone bringing a girl for a massage and then waiting for that girl inside the house. Redacted did not really talk with any of the masseuses or learn about their personal lives. She did recall, though, one girl saying that she was on a break from college, and she recalls another who was pregnant. Redacted believed that Epstein usually paid the masseuses, but a couple of times he asked her to pay them. Redacted recalled paying the masseuses around $200 per massage. When asked to name the masseuses she remembered, Redacted listed several names, including, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 names redacted. She recalled that Redacted was attending college and that Redacted had a baby at some point, but she did not know much about the rest. And she remembered one time Redacted called and asked how much Epstein would pay to have sex with one of the masseuses. Redacted was shocked and told Redacted that Epstein doesn't do that. Redacted did not mention the conversation to Epstein because she was worried he would get mad at her, and she felt uncomfortable bringing it up. They were brainwashed. Redacted also did not think that the essay was taking place during the massages for several reasons. She explained that some massages were provided by men. And then it says, no, on the footnote, no other witness has described any male masseuse providing massages to Epstein or anyone else. She explained that some massages were provided by men and that no one ever acted like anything was wrong. The masseuse would also call Redacted and ask to come back, so Redacted did not believe anything was taking place. anything bad. Redacted also walked in on some of Epstein's massages, and the masseuse she saw in the massage room on those occasions were clothed. Epstein also asked Redacted to provide him a massage on a couple of occasions, but they never turned SCX. As a result, Redacted did not connect massages with the activity. I believe that. I believed when she says that she saw males there. Diddy had a lot of males around for threesomes. Um, so I absolutely believe that. Yeah, she was too old, college. That's also true. Redacted viewed the masseuse as her peers, i.e., young adults in their early 20s, and it never blank redacted her mind that any of them were minors. In Redacted's view, Epstein was head of the household and everyone did what he said. Redacted did recall Epstein telling her he was paying for an SAT tutor for Redacted, but Redacted never took the SATs because, and then a whole sentence is redacted. And then it says, so she did not know what the test was or what it meant. She was from another country. She had recently learned that it is a test that someone would ordinarily take in high school, but she did not know this at the time. Redacted only learned that Epstein was essaying minors when the article started coming out about it. She recalled being shocked, angry, and disappointed. She was particularly angry with Epstein for manipulating her to help orchestrate the abuse of other women. During the first investigation, Epstein showed Redacted some of the masseuse's MySpace pages in which they claimed to be 18 or referenced rug use. Redacted felt that she had nowhere to go and her reputation was ruined in the press, so she did not think she could get another job. She said that she still feels awful and wishes she could apologize to the victims. She also said that she wishes she would have been interviewed during the first investigation so she could have told someone that she was being essayed and explained she did not recruit or procure girls. She just met them when they came to the house. On December 4th, 2019, we conducted a second proffer with Redacted in New York. This proffer focused on $250,000 payment she received from Epstein in late 2018 and on the essay she experienced while working with Epstein. Wow, that's a lot of money. With respect to the 2018 payment, Redacted explained that between approximately 2016 and 2018, she and her husband experienced financial difficulties. I wonder what this victim or this person's husband thought of this. Maybe like they were scared of Epstein and obviously he was financially keeping them, from going, from sinking, but he knew that that was the massages and all of that. So I'm wondering. Anyways, there's a whole sentence that's redacted here. Hey, Patty. And then it says Redacted was still in touch with Epstein and saw him every other month or so. During those meetings, Redacted told Epstein about her financial troubles. Then one day in early December of 2018, Leslie Groff emailed Redacted inviting her to visit Epstein at his residence in New York. Redacted accepted the invitation and once again told Epstein about her financial difficulties. In response, Epstein made a call to his accountant, Rich Kahn, and directed Kahn to wire $250,000 to her. Epstein told her not to tell anyone about the payment, but he did not say why. Redacted assumed that Epstein did not want her husband to feel badly about accepting such a gift. The last time Epstein provided her with money before that transaction was a $100,000 gift for her wedding. Oh, so that's what $350,000. Notwithstanding Epstein's instruction to the contrary, Redacted told her husband about the $250,000 payment, and they used it to deal with their financial problems. Redacted mentioned the payment she received to Redacted, who responded that she had recently received a payment of $100,000 from Epstein. Redacted said that Epstein called her one day and asked if she could use the money, and when she said yes, he sent her the money. Redacted believed Epstein was being generous because during their prior conversations about her financial difficulties, Epstein told her that she would always be safe and he would always take care of her. When asked about the Miami Herald series, Redacted said she was aware as early as April 2018 that a reporter for the Miami Herald was working on a story about Epstein. Redacted was aware of the series the day it was published in November of 2018, and she recalls she received an email from Groff inviting her to meet with Epstein within a day or two of the series publication. Although Redacted recalled mentioning the series when she met with Epstein in early December, she does not recall the details of what they discussed, and she did not believe the payment and the articles were related. Well, they were. They were trying to pay her off. Hey, Adrian, good to see you. I just saw you pop in. Thanks for becoming a member. I appreciate you very much so. Um, Shout out to you. Hey, MSM, good to see everyone. With respect to Epstein's SA, Redacted reiterated that Epstein first engaged in SEX contact with her shortly after she was hired when he directed her to take a bath with him and indicated that her job depended on engaging in these acts with him. Redacted explained that she did not feel she had a choice because she did not want to lose her job, which had finally helped her feel financially secure. Epstein paid for Redacted's housing, travel, clothing, and food, in addition to paying her a salary, which began at approximately $35,000 per year, then increased annually until she was earning a bit over $100,000 per year. When Epstein went to jail, she took a pay cut to $75,000, which remained her salary until she left her job when she married her husband, Redacted. Epstein also paid for Redacted's attorney when she was deposed in one of the lawsuits. I really want to know who this is. For approximately the next several years, from approximately Redacted until around the time Epstein went to jail in 2008, Epstein engaged in frequent contact with Redacted. Over that period, she would only recall a small number of trips she took with Epstein, during which she did not engage in some sort of SEX contact with her. Usually, this contact involved Epstein bringing Redacted to a bedroom and giving her explicit instructions regarding how to touch him and how to position herself while he mastered on the bed. Additionally, Epstein frequently snuck into her room while she was sleeping and woke her up by fondling her. Redacted insisted that she had no memory of any SEX contact taking place in any massage room with Epstein or in the context of any massage at all. During this period, Redacted had a small number of serious boyfriends, and, and Epstein knew about these boyfriends, but still engaged in contact with her. But still engaged in contact with Redacted, did not want to engage in any contact with Epstein, but felt obligated to do so in order to keep her job. The contact slowed sometimes before Epstein went to jail and evolved into Epstein just asking Redacted to sleep in his bed but not engage in any contact. As this contact slowed, she believes Epstein was spending more of his time with Redacted, who was his girlfriend. After Epstein was released from jail, Redacted no longer slept in his bed and they no longer had any contact. What a creep. Hey, Farmero, she got the bag and still put out the story. Listen, she felt like she had to keep her job, so she had to do all of this, but like I said, I'm also wondering, like, did her husband know all of this was going on? And that's a lot of money, so he must have known, and it's just icky all the way around. But, I feel for her, but she still got the bag, yeah, and exposed it all. Um, Redacted explained that she did not quit her job because she did not know where else she could go and completely depended on Epstein. There we go. She had no friends outside of Epstein's world, no education, and no family to support her. I think she was from Russia. Epstein was also controlling in other aspects of her life. He would become enraged if she made a mistake or did not follow his instructions about travel plans precisely. Epstein also controlled her physical appearance. He made her cut her hair short and dye it blonde. He also selected her clothes and would comment on her body and encourage her to lose weight. She was aware that Epstein was similarly controlling of Redacted. Epstein also controlled where she lived as she traveled with him where he went and was required to be on call 24/7. She also recalled that Epstein and Maxwell had Redacted sign a healthcare proxy, assigning them responsibility if anything happened to her. Redacted was also required to sign a confidentiality agreement. No way, a healthcare proxy. Redacted recalled 3 instances during which Epstein directed her to engage in SEX activity while another woman was present. First, shortly after she took the job, she was directed by Maxwell and Epstein to engage in SEX contact with them at Epstein's Virgin Island residence. She does not remember how the incident began or ended, but she remembers Maxwell being naked in the room with her and Epstein and directing her regarding how to touch him. Second, in and around Redacted, Epstein directed Redacted and a woman named Redacted, who was in her 20s, to engage in contact with each other and with him at the Virgin Islands residence. Third, in and around Redacted, Epstein directed Redacted and a woman named Redacted, who was in college, to engage in this contact with each other and with him at his New York residence. The most violent form of SA she experienced occurred when she and Epstein were alone in the gym at East Epstein's Palm Beach residence. If that's the girl in the pictures where she's boxing, what do you call those? Where she's boxing and she's nude. We've seen those pictures. I wonder if that's her. Russia, yeah, he had a lot of girls, minor girls come from Russia to put up with the nasty thing. It's a lot, Patty. It's a lot. While Redacted was doing sit-ups, Epstein closed the blinds to the window and then roughly pulled pants down and aggressively raped her. That is the only time she recalled Epstein having intercourse with her. Redacted did not tell Maxwell about the other incidents of contact with Epstein because she was afraid Maxwell would become angry and that she would lose her job. Redacted understood that Maxwell was Epstein's girlfriend and that she viewed the other girls Epstein had SEX with as trash that should be quickly disposed of. That's how the other girls viewed themselves. Redacted did not want Maxwell to think of her that way. She recalled, though, one instance on Epstein's birthday in and around 2002 at the island residence when Maxwell directed her and another young woman to undress, wrap themselves in saran wraps, and take photographs while posing around Epstein as he sat on the massage table. Maxwell also directed Redacted and the other young woman to put paint on their breast and press them on a canvas to give Epstein as a birthday present. We were so right when we were seeing those all that art in his house, and we're like, "Why does he have, like, drawings of regular females, paintings?" It was all of the victims. Redacted also recalled a time when Maxwell discussed techniques for giving oral Redacted in Redacted's presence. Redacted does not know, though, whether Maxwell engaged in any SEX contact with other women. After Epstein came out of jail, Redacted's responsibility increased as she stepped into the role that Maxwell previously held, running all of his homes. Redacted did not recall scheduling massages for Epstein anymore after he came back from jail. She separated from Epstein in 2012, Redacted. At first, she tried to restructure her job responsibilities so that she would not have to travel so much with Epstein, but Epstein rejected that plan and encouraged Redacted to leave her position and move in with her husband. By the time she got married, Redacted was no longer Epstein's employee. From there, Redacted was managing Redacted. She was ashamed of the SA she experienced and did not tell anyone about it for years, including her husband. Ah, so the husband didn't know for a while. The first people she disclosed this abuse Two were the attorneys who currently represent her. Because her husband did not know about Epstein's essay, he viewed Epstein as a father figure and encouraged her to remain in touch with him after they were married. At the end of the interview, she said she wished she could tell the victims that she would never knowingly facilitate their abuse. She emphasized that she would not knowingly help put someone through what she went through. How sad. How sad, sad. Interview of Redacted. On September 9th, 2019, we interviewed Redacted in New York. And then there's two whole sentences that are redacted. During this interview, we discussed with Redacted the process of her recruitment and her interactions with Maxwell. We also discussed at a high level her allegations that she was lent out to other individuals by Epstein to engage in acts with them. The footnote says we were unable to corroborate Redacted's account of being lent out to other men. We have, however, been able to corroborate her account of being recruited by Maxwell, being essayed by Epstein, and recruiting other minors. At the beginning of the interview, she emphasized that, and then there's a whole sentence that's redacted. When asked to describe how she first came into contact with Epstein, she referenced what she called her quote unquote training period with Epstein and Maxwell, which began in and around Redacted. She also indicated that she previously believed she was 15 when first met Maxwell, but the records showed that she was in fact 16 years old. She explained that she met Maxwell at Mar-a-Lago, Redacted, and where Maxwell recruited her to come to Epstein's Palm Beach residence to massage Epstein. At the residence, Maxwell and Epstein both interviewed her, and then Redacted began massaging Epstein. So they were recruiting girls from Mar-a-Lago, and I don't need to tell you what Mar-a-Lago is. During the massage, Epstein and Maxwell asked Redacted questions about her background and difficult family life, and she told them truthfully how old she was. Epstein and Maxwell then directed her to take off her clothes, and the massage became schmexual. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. During what Redacted refers to as her training period, Maxwell and Epstein taught her how to engage in these acts. For example, Maxwell and Epstein taught her how to perform oral and how to engage in anal stimulation. During the same period, she also recalls many conversations during which Maxwell and Epstein would tell her to look for and recruit young females. They directed Redacted to find young females who looked like the girl next door. Redacted explicitly remembered Epstein saying that the younger the better, and that they did not want black girls. Redacted understood that these recruits would give paid sexualized massages to Epstein at his Palm Beach residence. Maxwell taught her how to recruit younger girls for Epstein by taking her on shopping trips, during which Maxwell would demonstrate how to recruit girls and would make Redacted practice doing so. Maxwell taught Redacted to recruit young girls by saying, I know this really nice guy who likes to help people out, adding, you can make some money, and noting that the man could help the girl with her education or being a model. Maxwell criticized Redacted for being bad at recruiting girls and would show Redacted how easily Maxwell could recruit girls. Recruiting girls at the mall. Redacted followed these instructions and told the girls she recruited that they would have to give massages, but not normal massages. When the girls agreed to the proposition, she would exchange numbers with them. Redacted would then describe the girl to Epstein, who would decide whether he wanted to meet with them. If the girl was acceptable, then Maxwell would schedule the girl to come into the Palm Beach residence at a particular date and time. Redacted recalled getting in trouble for not bringing enough girls and for not bringing the right girls for Epstein. Redacted was usually paid $200 for each girl she brought. If Epstein liked a girl Redacted brought in, he would give her $300 as an extra incentive. Usually Epstein paid Redacted, but sometimes he told her to get the money from Juan Alessi, the guy who managed the house. We heard from him too. Alessi would occasionally take the phone number of a girl himself after a massage if he liked her. Redacted vividly recalled a conversation with Maxwell and Redacted, during which they were all smoking cigarettes inside Epstein's Palm Beach residence. During this conversation, Redacted asked Maxwell how she handled Epstein with so many girls. Maxwell responded that it took the pressure off Maxwell having to do it. Redacted added that the more girls they recruited, the less they would have to do themselves. Redacted understood that Epstein had an sex addiction. When Redacted recruited girls, she would have them meet her at her home, and then she would get a ride. Sometimes Redacted would give her rides, and sometimes Juan Alessi would give her rides. Upon arriving at Epstein's Palm Beach residence, either Juan Alessi, Maria Alessi, Maxwell, or Redacted would answer the door. Redacted would then bring the girl up to the massage room and would stay in the room for the massage with them. She did not recall recruiting anyone in New York and believes she only recruited girls in Florida. In total, she believed that she brought no more than 20 girls to Epstein. She expressed sincere remorse for having recruited girls to be abused by Epstein. Redacted described herself as subservient during her time with Epstein and recalled quitting her job Redacted at Epstein's direction. Redacted said that she initially believed she started traveling with Epstein about 6 months after her training period, but upon reviewing Mar-a-Lago records and flight records, she realized she took her first trip with Epstein only 3 months after being recruited. She recalled traveling very frequently, either weekly or every other week, with Epstein. When she traveled to New York, she would stay in an apartment in Epstein's building on 66th Street. During one such trip, she left for a walk and was gone for a few hours, after which Maxwell and Epstein were angry that she had not stayed in the apartment and waited for them to contact her. In response to that incident, Maxwell bought Redacted a cell phone and told her to stay in Epstein's New York residence and only leave when Epstein directed her to go to a sex store or to go recruit girls. Wow. They were like locked in there, basically. Redacted never slept over in Epstein's Palm Beach residence, but she recalled that eventually Epstein gave her money to pay for her own apartment in Florida, which enabled her to move out of her parents' home. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. During her period traveling with Epstein, Redacted spent most of her time with Epstein, Maxwell, and Redacted. When that group spent time watching television or movies together, Maxwell would sometimes initiate contact by taking off her clothes and telling Redacted to give her oral. Maxwell would also involve Redacted in the contact while Epstein was present. Ew, Maxwell's disgusting. Maxwell would also involve Oh, on such occasion, Maxwell used a toy on Redacted in a way that was physically painful. As Redacted spent more time with Epstein through Maxwell, as Redacted spent more time with Epstein, though Maxwell became less directly involved in the sex contact. At some point, Redacted began using rugs so heavily that Epstein did not want her around anymore. They basically get her addicted and then they don't want her anymore. She still maintains some contact with him. When she turned 19, Epstein and Maxwell paid for her to travel to Redacted for massage therapy school. She also mentioned someone named Redacted, who was also good at recruiting girls. She also said that someone named Redacted would recruit girls for Epstein. Redacted initially described Redacted was a mastermind at finding girls. Redacted first claimed that she had personally watched Redacted recruit girls, but she did not provide additional details. Redacted recalled meeting Redacted after her training was complete and she had already proven herself. Shortly before that first meeting, Epstein described Redacted as one of his favorites. Epstein then brought Redacted to Redacted's house in Redacted, where Redacted and Epstein all engaged in contact with each other. Redacted recalled that Redacted already knew exactly what to do and what Epstein liked actually. Redacted recalled Epstein saying that other than Maxwell, she was the best for picking girls. When asked to describe specific instances in which Redacted personally observed Redacted recruit someone, she said she did not recall actually seeing Redacted recruit anyone and added that she and Redacted did not really get along and that Redacted did not see her much. When asked whether Redacted had other SEX experiences with Redacted, she said there was tons and too many to count. Um, I got you, Patty. I think all of these women who helped Epstein recruit girls should be arrested and in prison or have already served some time, I guess. Let me get a drink. At least Leslie Groff as well. She should be incarcerated just like Ghislaine is. Redacted generally described Maxwell and Epstein directing her to engage in acts with other men. Although we did not delve into the details of this topic, she volunteered some information about it. Redacted. Redacted used the term lent out to describe instances in which Maxwell or Epstein directed her to have SEX contact with other men. Her first memory of being quote unquote lent out was after Epstein paid for her to get an apartment in Florida and after Maxwell had gotten her a cell phone. One day, Maxwell told her to massage Glenn and Eva Dubin and explicitly told Redacted that she had to do what Glenn what Redacted did for Epstein, which Redacted understood to mean to engage in SEX acts. Wait, who's Glenn and Eva Dubin? Let me look it up. A prominent American philanthropic couple known for financial health and education initiatives. Glenn is a hedge fund manager and founder of Dubin and Co., while Eva is a Swedish physician, a former model. They founded the breast center at the Tisch Cancer Institute at Mount Sinai in New York City. They donated 10 million to the New York Climate Exchange. Wow. Wall Street. Yo, I want to show you guys who these people are. I just Googled them. Oh, wrong screen. Let me pull up the one right, the Vanity Fair article. What the heck? Wall Street people, look at them. Ew. They were into some freaky shit with Epstein. I don't know what the statute of limitations is for like all of these things in all of these states. That's them though. Oh, sorry, you can't see their face. Wall Street people, I believe. Gross. Anyways, where did I go off? So now we know who they are. Dude, who wasn't involved? Us. Redacted added someone, Maxwell and Epstein told Redacted that they were going to test her out, which with other people, which needed to do in order to become a real massage therapist. With respect to Prince Andrew, Redacted recalled that Maxwell told Redacted that she was going to make a prince and make him happy and do the exact same things for him and that she did for Epstein because the prince was a good friend of Maxwell's. Redacted was lent out so many times that she began using substances. She cannot estimate how many times she was lent out to other people. She recalls being lent out to some people multiple times and some people just once. Sometimes Maxwell would direct her to engage in these acts with other men, and sometimes Epstein would do so. When in New York, either Maxwell or Epstein would call her to the massage room and direct her to engage in these acts with a man there. She said she was never paid by any of these other men for the massages she provided. She does not recall any conversations about money taking place in front of any of the men to whom she was lent out, which basically means Epstein was working it on the back end, or through like donations. Redacted also mentioned that Alan Dershowitz, but we did not fully explore the details of her interactions with him. Dershowitz. Refresh. Is the sound okay or is it just Evie's sound? Because I feel my sound says it's okay on my end, but I don't know. Alan Dershowitz is an American lawyer. Let's see. Where does he live? Is he in the US? It's fine now. It did for 1 sec. Oh, okay. It's always people with money. I know, Patty. It is always people with money, of course. He remained a legal commentator, author, and speaker. He's appearing as a 2025 commencement speaker for New College of Florida. He continues to engage in public disclosure, often commenting on the constitutional law and defending Israel. Well, Alan Dershowitz, we would like to know how many minors were lent out to you. When asked whether she was aware of any other girls who were lent out like herself, she said that Redacted was a participant in the acts with lots of third parties. She also said that Redacted was lent out and that Redacted and Redacted were lent out together. Redacted also recalled being lent out with a woman named Redacted, and with Redacted, added that there were more girls whose names she could not think of at the time. Redacted noted that Redacted came into the picture towards the end of Redacted's time with Epstein, so she did not know much about her. Who's the woman that's Redacted here? Why do they protect these politicians and stuff? Like, it's seriously so disgusting. And then there's a whole sentence redacted. And then another sentence redacted. I know, Patty, huh? Sometimes we're like, good thing we're just our basic little selves here. I feel that. I wouldn't mind being rich, but not like this rich. You know what I mean? Well, I would want to be as Epstein rich, but not enough where I'm selling my soul and, you know, I lose myself. He was Trump's lawyer years ago. Well, he's also a creep in a PDF file. Um, or nasty at least. Redacted, it's okay, so there's a whole sentence redacted. Redacted's account of being recruited by Maxwell and essayed by Maxwell and Epstein, engaging in massages with Epstein as a minor, recruiting other minors to engage in these massages with Epstein, and traveling to other locations with Epstein are all consistent with other evidence and corroborated in significant part by employment records at Mar-a-Lago, flight records for Epstein's private jet, and other witnesses. In particular, Juan Alessi confirms that Redacted frequently visited Epstein's Palm Beach residence to provide Epstein with massages and often brought other young girls to the residence to massage Epstein. Alessi knew that Redacted was a minor and knew that Redacted traveled with Epstein. In addition, Maria Alessi and Redacted both recalled seeing Redacted with Epstein. Moreover, her account of these experiences is remarkably consistent with the experiences of other victim recruiters, such as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So she names off 6 girls, and all of their names are redacted. Then the next paragraph, the whole sentence is redacted, and it starts with number of men Redacted has publicly identified as people to whom she was lent out have denied their allegations. No other victim has described being expressly directed or either by Maxwell or Epstein to engage in any activity with other men. Then this whole sentence is redacted. Recalled Epstein asking her to massage Harvey Weinstein and that during the massage, Harvey directed Redacted to remove her shirt. When Redacted refused and left, Epstein apologized and did not ask her to massage any other men again. Redacted recalled Epstein asking her to massage Leon Black and Jess Staley, both of whom engaged in sex contact with her against her will during the massages. So they raped her. Moreover, according to Redacted, when she complained to Epstein about the contact, he laughed and told her that it was up to her whether to engage in sex during those massages. So this whole next paragraph is redacted, as you guys can see, literally right here, and then all this paragraph down here. The next paragraph, the first part is redacted, and it says, in Redacted, wrote a partially fictionalized account of her experience with Epstein and Maxwell. In the memoir, is this Virginia? Who wrote a memoir? I thought it was Virginia. In the memoir, Redacted described a number of incidents since she was admitted that she has since admitted did not in fact take place. These include descriptions of an encounter with Nobel Prize winner scientist and a scene in which Redacted is caught with Coca-Cola in her room and fired. The memoir also mentions Alan Dershowitz, but does not claim that she engaged in acts with him. She did not raise those claims until 2014. Let me see. Who else wrote a memoir? I must have missed something. It was just Virginia. So this is Virginia? I thought that was, it can't be though. Because didn't she write that memoir like just recently? It was released on October 21st. Oh, but it was like written maybe throughout time. She was like keeping track. I'm gonna do a reading of that on here. Yeah, because she was 16 years old, and she was the one recruited at Mar-a-Lago. It is her. Has to be Virginia. Yeah. Wow. Also in Redacted, when Redacted was still writing her memoir, she exchanged emails with Sharon Churcher, a reporter for the Mail on Sunday. In one email, Redacted asked Churcher to help her put together of Epstein's well-known associates so that Redacted could include them in her memoir. In response, Churcher wrote, "Don't forget Alan Dershowitz, J.E.'s buddy and lawyer. Good name for your pitch. We all suspect Alan is a pedo and that no and there and though no proof of that, you probably met him when he was hanging with J.E." Let me see. Yeah, it is Virginia. Yep, it says right here she was in communication with her around 2011. Wow. As for Redacted's account of her interactions with Prince Andrew, oh my, we should have known. Prince Andrew was like, that's Virginia, but another lady wrote a book. Yeah, Prince Andrew, we know had a thing for Virginia, allegedly. As for Redacted's account of her interactions with Prince Andrew, Redacted, a photograph of Redacted with Prince Andrew and Maxwell, as well as Redacted. Her recollection that Maxwell also introduced her to Prince Andrew. Then there's a whole sentence that's redacted. Prince Andrew has publicly denied the allegations. Redacted, we asked whether she had recalled any other females who may have been present with her during these interactions. In response, she said that, and she names all of the girls that I named earlier, six of them, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight of them. Eight girls and more girls whose names she could not recall had all participated with Redacted in these encounters with men at the direction of either Epstein or Maxwell. However, Redacted and Redacted have different memories. Redacted, who, as noted above, did recall meeting Redacted on one occasion, did not recall Epstein or Maxwell ever asking her to have SEX with other men, nor did she recall ever being present when Redacted engaged in these acts with other men. Similarly, although Redacted described numerous instances of SA, she did not describe ever being directed by Epstein or Maxwell to engage in these SA acts with another man. She too did not recall ever being present when Redacted engaged in these acts with other men. Redacted also described visiting Redacted's residence in Redacted and engaging in activity with Redacted and Epstein there. However, we have been unable to gather any evidence to suggest that Redacted ever resided in Redacted. Rather, the information provided by witnesses and corroborated by travel records suggests that Redacted resided in Epstein's building on 66th Street in New York and otherwise traveled with Epstein wherever he went. Of particular significance in evaluating Redacted's account of Redacted's participation in SA, Redacted's description of Redacted's conduct was internally inconsistent with our single interview with her. At first, Redacted stated that Redacted was a mastermind recruiter and said that she had personally witnessed Redacted recruit minors to engage in these paid acts and massages with Epstein. When asked to describe specific instances in which she observed Redacted recruiting girls, she said she had never seen Redacted recruit anyone and had not actually spent much time with Redacted. By contrast, when asked whether she recalled any other instances in which Redacted was present for this activity, Redacted said that there was tons and too many to count. Additionally, in and around 2016, Redacted was deposed, and then a whole sentence is redacted. Redacted admitting lying about her employment history on her resume, admitted to burning handwritten notes that she had made about her experiences with Epstein and Maxwell, and admitted that she inaccurately told a reporter that she was essayed by Epstein for 4 years when she was only with him for about 2 years. She also confirmed that she was paid a total of nearly $200,000 for the statements and photos of Prince Andrew that she provided to Sharon Churcher, and she admitted to exchanging emails with Churcher about how, quote unquote, big headlines would help her sell her memoir. Redacted also admitted that she had previously claimed that the FBI told her they were aware of 40 other Epstein victims, when in fact, the FBI never told her how many victims they had identified. She further claimed that the FBI told her that Epstein had cameras watching her at all times, including while in the bathroom. At one point during her deposition, Redacted became particularly combative when pressed to describe in detail any specific times she recalled Maxwell directed her to have SEX with another person. Eventually, Redacted cursed in her response, saying, "She's the only one who brought me to be rafficked by Jeffrey Epstein in the effing first place." Wow, she got $200 for that picture of Prince Andrew. I would have asked for a lot more than that. But again, I wonder who that other lady was that wrote the book. I'll have to look into that. Substantially, all of the individuals accused by Redacted of engaging in misconduct have publicly denied the allegations. These denials include public statements made by Dershowitz and Prince Andrew, who both deny engaging in any SEX contact with Redacted. And as noted below, Maxwell, through counsel, has similarly disputed substantial aspects of Redacted's account. Finally, she has engaged in a continuous stream of public interviews about her allegation, many which have include sensationalized, if not demonstrable, inaccurate characterizations of her experiences. The most recent example arose this month when Redacted publicly claimed that the FBI had warned her of a credible death threat. In fact, both the FBI and our office have repeatedly told Redacted that there are no credible threats to her safety. Nevertheless, Redacted has stated both publicly and during a meeting of victims, the FBI's New York office, that the FBI had identified a credible threat against her. And then there's a whole paragraph that's redacted. Additional investigative steps. In addition to conducting numerous witness interviews, we have met with attorneys for other subjects of the investigation, as executed search warrants, okay, whatever, reviewed financial records, attorney meetings. Counsel for Ghislaine Maxwell. On October 8th, 2019, Maxwell's attorney provided us with an attorney proffer. During the meeting, her attorneys described Maxwell's background and upbringing. She was born in France in 1961 and raised in Paris. In the early 1990s, she began traveling to the United States more often as her father expanded his business there, and she met Epstein through a friend of her father's while in the United States. I know Maxwell's dad is horrendous, but that's really crazy that she met Epstein through her father. How sad. In 1991, her father died and his company collapsed, leaving Maxwell with limited financial resources. Epstein supported Maxwell both emotionally and financially after her father's death, and they began a romantic relationship in 1992. So, did he actually groom Maxwell too? Nah, I believe she was evil from the beginning. Early on in their relationship, Epstein was very secretive and kept Maxwell in the dark about other parts of his life, including other girlfriends he had. During the earlier period of their relationship, Maxwell was not allowed to look at Epstein's message sheets or answer his phones. By around the mid 1990s, Maxwell only saw Epstein about half the days in any given month, and they were physically intimate less often. Well, yeah, because he was having young girls, dude. Around that time, Maxwell began managing his properties. Epstein paid Maxwell a salary and she would give him weekly reports regarding his various properties. In 1996, they hired Kimberly Galindo and Redacted as assistants to help with Maxwell's management responsibilities. By the late 1990s, Maxwell wanted to marry and have a child with Epstein. Although Epstein refused to marry her, he told Maxwell that he would have a child with her, which was why Maxwell decided to stay with him. The day Andrew was arrested should have been Virginia's day. I agree, Rebecca. Some people are just sick from the start. Exactly, Kimmy. I agree with that. It's redaction extravaganza with all of these documents. So she ends up grooming girls and abusing girls, but she was always jealous and envious that Epstein didn't want to marry her or give her a child because she never had one. So around the late 1990s, Epstein began using testosterone patches, which made him more aggressive. Their relationship began to deteriorate, and Maxwell stopped sleeping in the same room as Epstein. In and around 1999 or 2000, Maxwell stopped having sex with him. At that time, Epstein was dating a woman named Redacted. In and around Redacted, Maxwell ended her romantic relationship with Epstein and began dating other men. Around the same time, Maxwell met Redacted in Hawaii and ended up hiring her to be Maxwell's personal assistant to replace Redacted. Shortly after Redacted was hired, though, Epstein made clear that Redacted would be his assistant instead. Maxwell trained Redacted regarding how to manage Epstein's houses, and eventually she took over Maxwell's responsibilities. Between 2001 and 2003, Maxwell continued traveling with Epstein, even though they fought frequently, because Epstein wanted her to continue managing his properties. It was during this period that Maxwell met Redacted. Maxwell does not recall meeting Redacted, and she primarily recalls speaking with Leslie Groff on the phone. In 2003, Maxwell began a long-term relationship with Ted White, and she remained in a committed relationship with him until 2010. As a result of that relationship, Maxwell spent less and less time with Epstein. She was not present in 2005 when the Palm Beach Police Department searched Epstein's Palm Beach residence, and she was not contacted or interviewed during that investigation. Maxwell understood that Epstein had pled guilty to having sex with an underage prostitute, and she did not visit him in jail. Whatever, Ghislaine, you know exactly what was going on. I know, but can you imagine the anger she felt deep down in her soul? This happens and women have problems the rest of their lives in many different ways. True. Throughout their relationship, Epstein asked Maxwell to connect him with massage therapists, but she insisted that she only hired adults for that role. She recalled Epstein getting one massage per day, and she believed that the massages were not schmexual. Maxwell did engage in acts with Epstein and other women, but she denies ever doing so with minors. Maxwell categorically denies any involvement in recruiting minors. We've seen that deposition where she's like, I plead the fifth. Maxwell's attorney claimed that she had a medical condition, making some of the public allegations regarding SEX acts involving with Maxwell physically impossible. They did not provide any additional details regarding the nature of the condition or which acts it impacted. They added that she could be intimate with Epstein, but not every day because of this condition. What was her condition? Like she had like endometriosis or something? At the conclusion of the proffer, Maxwell's attorneys walked through the public allegation against their client and explained their views of why the individuals making these claims were not credible. In doing so, they emphasized that Maxwell had not invoked her Fifth Amendment privilege against self incrimination when she was deposed as part of Redacted's lawsuit. Although they discussed several witnesses during this portion of the meeting, they primarily focused on three victims. Redacted, of course. First, they highlighted a number of inconsistencies within Redacted's account, including prior accounts of SA that Redacted had since admitted to fabricating in her memoir. They also pointed out that Redacted account of being forced to have SEX with other men differs dramatically from that of other victims. Second, they noted that Redacted was an adult when she met Epstein and that she had admitted to lying and saying that she had a video evidence of the ABUSE, which she did not. Finally, they noted that the flight logs show that Maxwell was never in Mexico in Redacted, which is when Redacted says Maxwell engaged in inappropriate behavior with her. Maxwell denies Redacted's allegations. Counsel for Leslie Groff. Leslie Groff worked as Epstein's primary New York-based assistant from at least in or about 2001 through the summer of 2019. That's a hell of a long time. Leslie Groff should have been arrested. That's 18 years that you knew of all the stuff he was doing. Her responsibilities included, among other things, scheduling Epstein's massages at the New York residence. Generally, Groff would call victims to schedule massage appointments, but she had limited interactions with the victims beyond scheduling. In addition to scheduling massage appointments, Groff would also book flights for girls who traveled to meet Epstein at their various residences. Groff made these arrangements by phone from the New York office where she worked for Epstein. She spent little time in Epstein's residence and thus had few in-person interactions with victims. She's a liar. Wait, let me see. It says through the deposition. Through the deposition, Maxwell took virtually every opportunity she could to call Redacted a liar and to accuse both Redacted and her attorneys of feeding vicious lies to the press. She denied any awareness that any minors other than Redacted ever massaged Epstein, and she denied any knowledge of contact between Epstein and any minors. She also denied that Epstein engaged in these activities. Maxwell admitted in her deposition to meeting both Redacted and Redacted, but denied any awareness that Epstein had contact with them. She claimed to not recall Redacted's age and claimed that she only saw Redacted at Epstein's Palm Beach residence and that Redacted was with her mother on all of those visits. What mother? Maxwell also claimed that she had never given anyone, including Epstein, a massage, though she admitted showing people where pressure points are located on the hand and foot. She denied ever showing anyone how to massage Epstein. She also denied ever having contact with Redacted. It is true that the flight logs for Epstein's private jet do not show Maxwell flying on his plane to New Mexico and Redacted. However, it is still possible that Maxwell took commercial flights. Given the passage of time, it has not been possible to obtain those records. In any event, Maxwell admitted during her 26th deposition that she met redacted at Epstein's New Mexico residence. Hmm. On July 18th, 2019, we gave a reverse proffer to Leslie Groff, during which we explained that numerous victims had indicated that she was responsible for scheduling massages during which they were essayed. We encouraged Groff to meet with us for a proffer so she could recall her story and explain her role. Subsequently, on August 7th, 2019, we had a phone call with Groff's attorney, during which he indicated that he would not bring Groff in for proffer and advised her to invoke her Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination if she is subpoenaed to testify. In recent weeks, we have reached back out to Groff's attorney to convey that we will not be able to provide her with any sort of agreement if she does not proffer with us. He appeared to understand our position and is considering whether to bring Groff in for a proffer. She should be arrested, Groff. Because Ghislaine hired a quack doctor named Elizabeth Loftus, who testified saying all the victims had false memory syndrome. Really? I haven't come across that document yet, but I'm curious about that. Leslie is a co-conspirator, shouldn't be in prison. I agree, Rochelle. Absolutely. 1000%. Counsel for Jean Luc. We already know. In August or September of 2019, we had multiple phone calls with the attorney of Jean-Luc Brunel. On our last call, the attorney indicated that Brunel was not willing to meet with us for a proffer and would invoke his Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. Leslie Wexner. On July 25th, 2019, we are going to watch that deposition too. I was thinking maybe tonight, but depends because I might want to do Corey Richins. On July 25th, 2019, counsel for Wexner provided us with the attorney proffer. Wexner is a billionaire, founder, and CEO of L Brands, formerly Limited Brands Corporation, which controls Victoria's Secret, among other brands. It has been publicly reported that Wexner and Epstein had a close relationship and that Epstein managed Wexner's finances from 1990s through the 2000s. During our meeting, Wexner's attorney indicated that Wexner had no knowledge of any inappropriate or unlawful activity with young women by Epstein. The attorneys emphasized Wexner's relationship with Epstein was more professional than social. The attorneys explained that over his years handling Wexner's finances, Epstein stole or otherwise misappropriated several $100s from Wexner. That misconduct, together with fees that Epstein paid himself for his services to Wexner, appears to account for virtually all of Epstein's wealth. Okay, Wexner. Epstein didn't steal all your money, literally. He was one of the biggest contributors. They worked with each other so heavily. That's absolutely ridiculous. Wexner first met Epstein in the 1980s through a mutual friend who recommended Epstein as a financial advisor. After a couple other acquaintances recommended Epstein as well, Wexner brought Epstein on to help with his investments. Over time, Epstein became more involved in Wexner's finances until Epstein controlled all of Wexner's personal finances with virtually no oversight. In 1991, Epstein obtained a power of attorney from Wexner, which enabled Epstein to handle the purchase and sale of retail estate and other assets on Wexner's behalf. At some point in 1998, Epstein sold himself the New York residence in which he resided until his arrest in 2019 at a deeply discounted price. The New York residence had previously belonged to Wexner, but the Wexners had moved out of it in 1995. Epstein also sold himself a private plane that previously belonged to Wexner at a deeply discounted price. Wexner is so full of shit, and I know he's like borderline about to fucking die, but like good. But what a damn liar. He did not sell himself a discounted jet. Like, you know what I mean? What a liar. Millions and millions of dollars. Oh, I didn't see them being. Oh, I didn't know Jeffrey was doing that. Yeah, it was his financer or whatever, but still, when you're that rich, you pay attention to your money. The other memoir is Sarah Ransom. Oh, okay. They're both worth the read. Okay, I'll look into it. Thank you. True crime. In the 1990s, Epstein told Wexner that he had other clients and that Wexner did not need to pay Epstein because Epstein was having fun and they would settle up later. Epstein introduced Wexner to a number of other people as his clients, and Wexner interacted with other prominent people who knew Epstein, such as Prince Andrew, professors at Harvard, and a sultan in Dubai, which we know as Salami, who was previously stepped down. Epstein had no formal role in the L Brands or Victoria's Secret. At some point, Wexner heard a rumor that Epstein might be holding himself out as connected to Victoria's Secret, but when Wexner asked Epstein about it, he denied doing so. I heard that Epstein did own portion of Victoria's Secret, though, to some extent, because of his involvement. I have questions about that. I might want to look into that. Ew, I detest Lex Wexner. After I found out about him, and then I knew that he was owner of Victoria's Secret, I used to love Victoria's Secret, and I stopped pretty much supporting them. Like, I would say maybe like a year or two ago, I kind of just like, I'm kind of disgusted. Epstein handled Wexner's personal affairs until 2007, when Wexner learned that Epstein had stolen or otherwise misappropriated several $100 million. Around that time, Epstein told Wexner that he was having legal problems involving an overly aggressive police chief of some sort and some sort of massage. Epstein said he was being blackmailed and it could get messy, so it would be best for Wexner's wife to take over the family finances. In response, Wexner's wife looked into the state of their finances and discovered that Epstein had misappropriated a significant amount of the family's funds. For example, Epstein frequently bought property on behalf of the Wexners and then sold it to himself for a fraction of the cost. The Wexners then decided to cut off Epstein. When confronted, Epstein tried to convince Wexner's wife that she did not understand the financials and insisted that he insisted that he had the Wexners' best interests at heart. The Wexners did not want to bring unnecessary public attention to the issue, so they withdrew the power of attorney and hired counsel to negotiate a private settlement with Epstein. As a result of those negotiations, Epstein agreed to return $100 million to the Wexners, which he did in January of 2008. At that point, Wexner severed all ties with Epstein, and he has not seen or spoken to Epstein since. Wexner knows nothing about the redacted claim from Redacted and explained that at that time, Epstein owned a property adjacent to the Wexners about half a mile away from the Wexners' property. The Wexner security team is not aware of any inappropriate incident taking place on their property, and the Wexners first heard about Redacted's allegations from public reporting this year. Search warrants. In July and August of 2019, we obtained the FBI executed search warrants for Epstein's residence in New York and Virgin Islands. Okay, we know that. The FBI is continuing to review the extraordinarily large amount of data. We do know that. Based on our review of these materials thus far, we have identified some victims who appear in photographs maintained in Epstein's residence. Of a particular note, we have identified photographs of Redacted, and Redacted at Epstein's residence. It bears noting that, contrary to some reports, these searches did not reveal any cameras in any of the bedrooms or massage rooms. Financial records. Together with the FBI, we have reviewed a number of financial documents regarding Epstein's, Maxwell's, and Redacted finances. We have also been in touch for counsel representing JP Morgan, Dutch Bank, and TD Bank, each of which have held accounts related to Epstein or his associates. I love how they redact these people's names. They're protecting them. Epstein held the bulk of his finances at JP Morgan from the early 2000s until 2013, when he opened multiple accounts at Dutch Bank and transferred his funds from JP Morgan to this bank. In 2019, the bank closed Epstein's account, and his funds from those accounts were primarily transferred to the Bank of Puerto Rico. Let's talk about that. So in 2019, when Epstein died, his accounts were closed and they were transferred to a bank in Puerto Rico. To whom? To whom? Epstein's accounts appeared to be exclusively for the purpose of holding his own money. His bank accounts included checking accounts, money market accounts, and brokerage accounts for his charities, his consulting company, Southern Trust Company, Inc., and several trusts, most of which appear to have been established to handle payments for Epstein's various expenses in connection with his properties and planes. We have not identified any accounts that are consistent with Epstein handling or investing other people's money. Additionally, in the fall of 2019, counsel for TD Bank reached out and informed us that several individuals and entities associated with Epstein held accounts at TD Bank, including accounts held by Redacted. Epstein was not a signatory on any of these accounts, and TD Bank is in the process of closing all of the accounts. Additional document review. Finally, as we have met with new witnesses, we have reevaluated documents and records. Okay. In particular, we found numerous message pads featuring the names of victims who have spoken with us, which were found either in trash pools or during the search of Epstein's Palm Beach residence during the 2005 Florida investigation. Additionally, we have identified some flight logs within the records obtained. We know about those. Legal landscape. We have considered 3 different criminal charges to conduct the reveal charges to the conduct revealed during the course of this investigation. This section walks through elements and basis contours of each statute. So SCX trafficking of minors, we know that. Redacted, of course. Oh, and then look at that. Redacted. This whole page is redacted. So I'm glad you guys can see. Redacted, redacted. That's nice. Redacted, redacted. Okay. So everything under the charge of trafficking is redacted. Part B, transportation of minors. Okay, we know what that means. And then there's redacted. So they're just telling us what the charges are. They're not including anything else for us. Enticement of minors. Okay. The United States Code section, redacted. Statute of limitations. The conduct revealed during our investigation spanned from approximately 1994 to approximately 2005, redacted. And then this whole page is redacted. All redacted. Okay. Analysis. In the light of the evidence gathered during our investigation, as well as the legal tools available, we evaluate whether there's sufficient evidence to charge redacted Leslie Groff or Ghislaine Maxwell with federal crime, and if so, whether the charges would be in the interest of justice. A, all redacted. All redacted. 1, evidence that redacted conspired to traffic minors. Redacted. All redacted. Knowledge of SCX Act. Okay. And then it's redacted. Knowledge of age. And then it's all redacted. 2 pages fully redacted. Oh, just kidding. 3. That's nice. Oh, 4. 4. Okay. B, redacted. C, everything redacted. D. Oh, so they redacted half of the co-conspirators, but then they didn't redact the people that have already been involved. Leslie Groff, redacted. Ghislaine Maxwell, redacted. And that's it. Yeah. So they're protecting all those people. That is absolutely crazy. Bank of America is Bank of the Devil. So which bank do you want to use now? Is it? JP Morgan is how I pay my bill. Well, they're crooks too, said Patty. With all this redacting, what was the point putting any of this out there? It's ridiculous. Melanie has one sweat. We finished. It took me 4.5 hours to read that document. Yeah, we did 3.5 hours yesterday and then 1.5 today. Yay to me. We basically live in hell. Yeah, I'm already like, we should leave. Well, we're not safe anywhere, actually. Hey Lala, good to see you. Okay, so I'm glad we finished that document. I really am. Shout out to you guys for being here. This was part 2. We do have part 1, so if you missed it, get your ass to watching it. We are, I think, did you guys get already a notification for Courtney Clenny live? Yeah, it's coming up. We have Courtney Clenny live in like about half an hour. So we're gonna do Courtney Clenny hearing, and then after that, I'm gonna decide what else to do after. Again, let me know in the chat right now and in the comments. Aliens will come get us. We will be good. At this point, we're better off with the aliens. I'm down. Um, do we want to do Corey Richins? Yes or no? Late night? Late night live? Or are you guys not interested in that case? Or do you not even know about it? I'm so interested, so I might just have to do it. I figured it could be like a fun hangout time. Corey who? Corey Richins. She poisoned her husband with fentanyl, which another word YouTube doesn't like. Never heard. Really? Me, I do. Okay, yes, yes. It looked pretty good. I haven't cheated. I'm not a cheater. Um, I peeked in just to kind of catch the vibe, like of if people were into it, and it looked really good, and it looked like people are into it. I just didn't want to do it during the day because everybody and their grandma is doing it, and um, so I didn't want to be. I didn't like when we're gonna be streaming Courtney Clenny trial. So streaming trials is hard because you have to sit through the live feed and then you don't get to fast forward through the breaks, which is why I wanted to do it. Wait for me, I'm coming. I swear though. I swear with blood I wouldn't peek. Did you not, Evie? I'm proud. Thank you. Wait for me, I'm coming. Okay, I'm here. What's going on? Patty, I asked if everyone's interested in doing a late night hangout, drink slash trial rewatch of Corey Richins. It's slow AF. Really? The trial? Melly, could they be arrested? They would be saying Epstein files are Bible. I don't. I think they should all be arrested. Jody, Goldie, get over it. What about you, Patty? Are you interested in that or no? I think Patty goes to bed. Um, Elliot Reed. Yeah, we're gonna do Elliot Reed. I don't know that we're gonna do Elliot Reed today. I'll try to squeeze it in. We can finish maybe Elliot Manifesto today. It's not too long. We got through this document, so we might be able to do Elliot today. But we're definitely doing we're definitely doing Courtney Clenny. So I'm down for whatever you do. Okay, so you guys will just watch. Cool. Okay. Well, I already have Corey Richins scheduled for this evening, but we can fit in one more live after Courtney Clenny. So I'll have to pick wisely and see which one I want to do. Anyways, shout out to you guys. Tap that like button on the way out because let me check if I already got a YouTube warning. Because usually right when I get off, they're already like demonetized. You talked the truth about Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, it's good. It's a good hearing. Okay, I'll see you guys in like about 30 minutes. I'm gonna get some lunch and then we'll come back and watch Courtney Clenny hearing, which is wild. Please tap the like button on your way out. Shout out to you guys being here for the Jeffrey Epstein content. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys shortly on the next live. Toodles.